Hello everyone, how are you all? Hope you all are good. So in the last few classes we were discussing about the story The Best Christmas Present in the World. The Best Christmas Present in the World. That was written by Michael Morpurgo, and this whole story was divided into 3 parts, and in the last few classes we already discussed the 2 parts. In the first part we can see that author buys a roll top desk and he found a letter in a tin box in one of the drawer, and in the second part of the story the author read that letter, and the second part also tells us about the whole content of the letter. And here we can see the relationship between the 2 armies, that is the German army and the British army. And here we can also see the relationship between Jim Macpherson and the German officer, and he was explaining many things in that letter that was written by Jim to his beloved wife Connie. And in the third part of the story we can see that author already read the letter and he was in search of Connie. He want to give this letter to her. He want to pass this letter to her. Okay, shall we start? Okay, let's get started. All of you take your textbook, page number 14. Page number 14. Okay, part 3. I folded the letter again and slipped it carefully back into its envelope. I kept awake all night. By morning I knew what I had to do. I drove into Bridport. Just a few miles away I asked a boy walking his dog where Copper Beaches was. So actually after finish reading this letter, author was in search of the house. Actually he found the address in that letter's envelope. And after reading that letter he folded the letter and he kept back that letter in that envelope, and he was in search of that house of Connie, and there was a address in that letter. Then the author was in search of that house and that address. Actually that was near to author's house, and he was in search of that house, and he reached some place. What was that and word? I asked a boy walking his dog where Copper Beaches was. House number 12 turned out to be nothing but a burnt out shell, the roof gaping, the windows burnt up. I knocked at the house next door and asked if anyone knew the whereabouts of a Mrs. Macpherson. Oh yes, said the old man in his slippers. He knew her well, a lovely old lady, he told me, a bit muddle-headed, but at her age she was entitled to be, wasn't she? 101 years old. She had been in the house when it caught fire. So when the author reached that place, when the author reached Connie's house, he found the house that was burning. That was a burning house. Then author got amazed. What happened to this house? Then he found some of the neighbors near that, and he asked about Connie. Is this Connie's house? Then they replied that yes, this is Connie's house. Then he asked about Connie. Where is Connie now? And he found that house that was fully burnt and destroyed. Everything was destroyed. Its roof was already gone because of fire. Because it all burnt and destroyed, and the windows are mostly made with woods, and that was also fired and burned. And some of the neighbors told to the other that yes, this was her house, but she was not that you thought that it was. She was not that young. She was an old woman with not 1 year old. She was an old woman. A lovely old lady, he told me, a bit muddle-headed, but at her age she was entitled to be, wasn't she? 101 year old. She had been in the house when it caught fire. No one really knew how the fire had started, but it could well have been candles. She used candles rather than electricity because she always thought electricity was too expensive. The fireman had got her out just in time. She was in a nursing home now, he told me, Burlington House on the Dorchester Road on the other side of the town. Then the neighbor also told other that now she was not here, but when this house was firing, at that particular time she was here. Then we all don't know how here the fire had caught. And she used candles instead of electricity. She thought that electricity was too much expensive, so she used candles. And maybe we thought that because of that candles, these fire had caught. And now she was in the nursing home that was near to this house. You can go and find her. I found Burlington House nursing home easily enough. There were paper chains up in the hallway and a lighted Christmas tree stood in the corner with a lopsided angel on top. I said I was a friend come to visit Mrs. Macpherson to bring her a Christmas present. Then, without any difficulty, the author found that nursing home and he told the nurses that I am here to see Mrs. Macpherson, that is Miss Connie. I want to see Miss Connie and I want to give her some Christmas gift. And the author also see that nursing home was really decorated because that was Christmas Day. And in the corner he found a Christmas tree and that was really decorated. I could see through into the dining room where everyone was wearing a paper hat and singing. The matron had a hat on too and seemed happy enough to see me. She even offered me a mince pie. She walked me along the corridor. Mrs. Macpherson is not in with the others. She told me she is rather confused today, so we thought it best if she had a good rest. She has no family, you know. No one visits. So in the nursing home, the author found a nurse, isn't it? I already told that. And the nurse also told to author that there was no any visitors came here to see Mrs. Macpherson. This is the first time you are coming here. One person is coming to meet Mrs. Macpherson, that is Connie. She will be really happy to see you. And she was really tired. Her health was not that good. So she was on the other side. She is not with us. And I think, and the nurse was saying that, I thought that she could need some rest. So she was resting there. So I am sure she will be only too pleased to see you. She took me into a conservatory with wicker chairs and potted plants all around and left me. The old lady was sitting in a wheelchair, her hands folded in her lap. She had silver white hair pinned into a wispy bun. Then after some time, here comes Connie, the old woman who was 101 years old. She was on a wheelchair with her silver hair. She was that much old. She was 101 years old lady. She was sitting on a wheelchair. Her health was not that good. She had a silver white hair pinned into a wispy bun. She was gazing out the garden. Hello, I said. She turned and looked up at me vacantly. Happy Christmas, Connie. I went on. I found this. I think it's yours. As I was speaking, her eyes never left my face. I opened the tin box and gave it to her. That was the moment her eyes lit up with recognition and her face became suffused with a sudden glow of happiness. I explained about the desk, about how I had found it, but I don't think she was listening. Then after some time, the nurse brought Other to Connie and she was sitting on the garden. And the other told her, hey Connie, Happy Christmas, Merry Christmas. And he gave her that tin box that was contained with the letter. And Other opened that and passed it to Connie and he told that, actually I found this letter in my roll top desk and I think it's yours. Actually, Connie was not paying much attention towards the author. Then after that, the author told Connie that, actually, I got this letter from my roll top desk. And he opened that tin box and he gave that to Connie. But actually Connie was not paying more attention towards other. Then after that he started explaining about the letter. Then when she saw the letter, suddenly her eyes lit with happiness. Her face, there was one word he used, her face suffused with. That means her face glowed with happiness. Suffused, what is the meaning of suffused? Suffused, glowed. Her face glowed with happiness. She became very much happy by seeing that letter. Then she started looking into that letter. For a while, she said nothing but stroked the letter tenderly with her fingertips. Suddenly, she reached out and took my hand. Her eyes were filled with tears. You told me you would come home by Christmas, dearest, she said. And here you are, the best Christmas present in the world. Come closer, Jim dear, sit down. But after all this, actually, Author explained many things to her, but she don't give any reply. Then after some time, her eyes are filled with tears. She started crying because of happiness. Then after that, she was looking that letter with her fingers, with her tender fingers, that means her aged fingers. Then after that, she told to the other that you had promised me that you would come to the Christmas Eve. But today, now you are here with me. But now I am really happy to see you. Come closer and sit beside me. So what was happening there? Yes, Connie thought that actually the other was her Jim, her husband. Then she told him that come closer and sit beside me and sit near me. I sat down beside her and she kissed my cheek. I read your letters so often, Jim, every day. I wanted to hear your voice in my head. It always made me feel you were with me, and now you are. Now you are back. You can read it to me yourself. Would you do that for me, Jim dear? I just want to hear your voice again. I would love that so much. And then perhaps we will have some tea. I have made you a nice Christmas cake, marzipan all around. I know how much you love marzipan. Actually, Connie thought that the other was her husband. Then she gave him a kiss on his cheeks, and she told him that actually I was really waiting for you. I was eagerly waiting for you. Where were you? You promised me that day that you will come on the Christmas day, but you have not came that day. But today you are with me. I am really happy to see you, and you should read me. You should read to me that letter. I want to hear your voice. I want to hear your sweet voice, and you should read that letter for me. Will you do that? Then she was saying many of her wishes to other. Then actually she thought that was her real husband, that was Jim. And she also told him that, and this is Christmas, and today definitely I will make you a fantastic, a yummy cake with marzipan. In the previous class, we already learned that what is marzipan. That was a covering to a cake that was made with sugar syrup. And Connie told that I will definitely make you a sweet cake with marzipan. I know how much you love that marzipan. So here the story ends. So this is the story, and she also told that actually this was the best Christmas gift I received. And the old lady was saying to the other that yes, this was my best Christmas, and today in this Christmas I received my best Christmas gift. Okay, so that's all for today. Thank you. See you in DZS.